Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So, for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have another YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora where I discuss issues pertaining to Latinos in the United States. Link to that channel is in the description. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined as late as today. I really appreciate your love and continued support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notifications to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So, as you can see by the thumbnail, tonight it's a roundup of this year. So, basically, I was just doing a discussion on many of the topics which I did share during this year. I'm also going to share some personal reflections, some things I've learned. Of course, there's still some mistakes that I made this year. But before we get into the main topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Now, way back around November, when we had the longest government shutdown, um, one of the things that the Republicans have stated was that if you know if we decide if we voted without extending the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, then we will have a vote on extending the subsidies. That was the lie that the Republican told the Democratic members of the House and Senate. But lo and behold, the House had decided to go away for Christmas vacation, and they would not vote or take up any activity for the rest of the year. Meaning, guess what, folks? Starting next year, for millions of Americans, it's going to be extremely expensive to acquire health care. And why is that? Well, because with the subsidies from the Affordable Care Act, it made it possible for millions of Americans to afford health care. But all those subsidies are due to expire um, at the end of this year. So that means that for millions of Americans, in one way or another, our healthcare costs will rise. First of all, for those who are depending on the subsidies, uh, it's they'll have to pay more money for medical coverage. And since the insurance companies are not going to get as much money, guess what? Those of us who have health insurance to our employers, our you know, it's going to become expensive for us. And let us not forget that this government agreement for funding the government is only good until January the 30th. Meaning, guess what, folks? By the end of next month, we could be facing another government shutdown. And it may be even longer than the one that we experienced. And of course, we all know there's going to be many victims of a government shutdown. First of all, the ones who are the victims are of the federal municipal employees who have gone as much as 6 weeks without being compensated. And then the next group of people that's going to be affected are those who are recipients of the SNAP program, which is another name for food stamps. So it's going to, we could be facing another government shutdown. Of course, next year we having midterm elections. One is forecasting that it's going to be a very successful year for the Democrats, of which they will at least gain control of the House, possibly the Senate. One thing, they're going to have to convince the voters that they can provide a solution to the problems that we face, okay, and not get into this gender identity, or war, things of that nature, because it was through identity politics that killed the campaign of Kamala Harris. So we shall see what happens next year. But of course, we all know for a fact that that whenever there is a midterm election, that usually the parties that's in power, which is the Republicans, usually lose seats in the House and the Senate. We shall see what happens. And of course, tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Okay. Many of us will be spending Christmas Eve with the family and loved ones, eating meals. There'll be people that'll be alone on Christmas Eve. And one thing I can say, to those of you who will be spending Christmas Eve alone, don't think of it as a negative reflection on you. Each one of us is made in the image of God. Each one of us is special in God's sight. And the fact that you may be spending Christmas Eve alone does not take that fact away. Okay. So make the most of the situation. I know for one thing, I'll be having a quiet dinner, and then I'll go and I'll attend Miss Christmas Eve services, and Christmas Day I'll be spending time with family. Okay, but for those of you, particularly those of you who are elderly, there are places that do provide like a holiday meal. So at least that way, you're not spending Christmas Day alone. Okay, so look into that. So with that being said, we're going to go to the main topic. Now, before I continue, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic at hand, they may do so. As always, if I never see you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one tries to flash any adult images, which will cause the people of YouTube to take down this stream. Now, once I see that you have cam up, I'll let you on the panel. If you refuse to cam up in the backstage, guess what, folks? You're not going to get on the panel. Okay. I get it. There are people who don't like to cam up, but I have to make sure that no one, and I repeat, no one tries to do anything to disrupt this life. Also, I don't feel like dealing with crazy people who try to make life impossible by being disrupted. Now, of course, this year um, was unique in many ways. Okay. Now, one thing I have decided to do um, to air short videos. Okay. This is as a way to try to expand my audience and things of that nature. Try to do something to do a little tweaking with the algorithms. So, of course, the first set of videos, the short videos I did, I mean, there was a couple I did a family, and then there was a few where they were motivational messages, and then I went into humorous videos, and some of them went viral. In fact, I had one video where it produced over 35,000 views, which is huge. And which I think, it was, you know, I enjoy them. It's good to laugh at anything. But then I decided, with all the negativity that's out there in this world, and when I mean negativity, I'm not just referring to here on social media, I'm talking about in life in general. I decided to do videos that reflect my religious beliefs as a Christian. So as a result, as you can see, I do short videos regarding prayers that I've shared. Okay. I also share some videos regarding some Bible verses. I never thought in my wildest dreams that it would create such a huge audience. Okay, never in my wildest dreams would I think, but that would be so many people that would that really enjoyed those short videos of prayers. Okay, but I think it 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 speaks well. You can create attention without going negative, which is something that I suspected. I didn't think it would create this much attention. Okay. Um, in fact, um, going from November 1st to today, which is December the 23rd, I have gained about 360 subs, which is more than more than a year, a typical year. Okay. Um, and one thing I noticed is that there are I have two different sets of audiences. Okay, first of all, I have one set of audience, which is not as much as it used to be as far as regarding to my lives. And then I have another audience what has to do with my short videos. Okay. And what I find amazing is that there were days I would gain like 10, 15, sometimes 20 subs a day. Okay. First of all, I am humbled by that. Okay. And I truly appreciate the support that I've received. Okay. Um, Also, one thing I'm aware of is that whenever a content creator um, becomes successful and it's growing, sometimes they become conceited and they tend to think more highly of themselves than they should. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that people should have a healthy self-esteem. The problem is when you as a content creator continue to grow, and next thing you know, your ego is growing at the same time, and then you're thinking more highly of yourself than you should be. Now, one thing I have learned is that if you do not humble yourself, God will humble yourself for you. And there is some misunderstanding when it comes to humility. Okay. I'm going to give you my definition. What it is basically is it's the recognition that okay, um, you may be you may do a decent job, but it doesn't mean the fact that you don't need help. It does not mean the fact that you don't need assistance now and then. Okay. And one of the dangers that content creators have is that they could become conceited right away, and then they begin their hype that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, before I want to give a shout out to my friend Georgia. Okay, he just recently reached 800 subs. Okay, and of course, his content is family-based, Christian-based content. Okay, so if you are a Christian or if you or not, you're not even a Christian, but you're looking for some wholesome, um, uplifting content, check out my friend Georgia. Another friend of mine, Dread, Dreadlock Diaries, recently made 1K subs. Okay, and she's been very successful with her channel, dealing with her dreadlocks journey and dealing with all the things that she have learned as far as creating dreadlocks, as far as proper care of your hair and things of that nature. While It may not necessarily be uh, my cup of tea, but the fact of the matter is, with her content, she's been very helpful regarding other people who do who do wear dreadlocks and want to learn how to take proper care of their hair. Okay, so I do give her props, and of course Don Armando, he made 1K subs earlier this year, so you shout out to him. Of course, one thing that I've done is I use this platform to share my views regarding different Christian topics. Now, when it comes to Christian topics, that could be a bit of a challenge, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. First of all, I do recognize the fact that not everyone who watches my content is a Christian. So that's the reason why whenever I do have Christian content, I always make it a point in saying that first of all, I'm not trying to compel anyone to and what I value. That's all it is. Okay. Okay. And of course, when I usually ask those who are not Christians to at least, at least hear me out. Okay. And at least think about it. Of course, some of the topics could be, you know, I know some of my Christian topics can be challenging. Okay. Particularly when I speak about topics of forgiveness. Okay. Because the problem is that okay, there are some people that hold the view that if you forgive someone, you're basically okaying what they did. And no, that is not the case. And that's why I made it perfectly clear many times. What you're doing is you are not allowing the conduct or the words to have any further effect on you. Okay. And I also made a point of stating that forgiveness does not mean fellowship. You can forgive a person and not have anything to do with the person. Okay. And you can also go through life and not wish any harm for the person that hurt you or betrayed you. And one thing we all need to bear in mind, by withholding forgiveness from that person, by holding resentment towards that person, you're not doing that person any harm. What you're doing is you're harming yourself, you're creating issues with your health by 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 not forgiving and holding resentment. And as I stated in a live previously, what you're doing when you choose not to forgive, it affects your mind, it affects your body, it affects your soul, and plus it blocks blessings from God. And one thing we bear in mind as a Christian, we are called to forgive. Okay, because God forgave us first. And again, you can forgive a person and not have anything to do with the person again. I have done that before, and I will continue to. Okay, a perfect. Okay, or you can limit your interaction with the person. Okay, a perfect example would be my. Okay, for 10 years I had no contact with her. Okay, I didn't wish her any ill will. I didn't lash out, but I felt for my own peace of mind that it was best that I not have any interaction with my ex-wife until one day my ex-wife wanted to speak with me, which I did, which she asked my forgiveness for the way for her conduct, which led to the divorce. I made it perfectly clear that I don't harbor any ill will. We were both responsible for the ending of the marriage, and I have moved on. Now, I forgave her, okay, and I truly wish her well in everything that she does. And we can talk, and we might even meet, somewhere, maybe a place to eat or what have you. But to invite her to my home, no. I don't feel comfortable inviting my ex-wife to come to my place. But people say to me, "But you're a Christian. How could you feel that way?" First of all, I already forgave her, and I have moved on. But in my spirit, I don't think it would be appropriate for my ex-wife to come to my apartment. And if she was to come, it will have to be with at least another person involved. Okay. And no, I would not try to take advantage of her. No, I wouldn't try to do anything with her or what have you. It's just that I just at this stage in my life, I don't feel comfortable enough to be in an apartment with her by herself. Okay. And again, I don't harbor any ill will. And of course, now to change directions a little bit. Of course, during the year, I also had discussions regarding politics. Okay, regarding particularly politics regarding the local elections that we had this year. Okay, so of course we elected a new mayor, and we also elected some people in the city council. Okay, so of course I gave him my views regarding politics. I also dabble into certain topics um, regard, now that I think about it, it might have been better not for me to get into, particularly when it comes to like the incels and simps and things of that nature. Um, it's just that everyone has discussed those things. So I thought I needed to discuss it. But one of the things I have learned this year that there are certain topics There are best left alone. Okay. There are certain topics, excuse me, where it's best that I don't discuss. I don't entertain. Now, if people in other platforms wish to discuss those topics, that's perfectly fine. Okay. And for the benefit of those who are just tuning in, tonight we're talking about the topic is 2025 roundup. So I'm just talking about the year in review. So going into the new year, okay, there's going to be some topics I'm going to continue to talk. Okay, I'm gonna continue to have topics when it comes to mental health issues because not everyone is talking about it, and we do need to bring light to it and not treat it as a taboo topic. I also will be sharing other Christian topics, you know, just to give you a perspective. I might do some reaction videos. Um, the question is how to do that without getting hit with a community strike. Okay. Because there's always a challenge. Okay. And of course, people can say, well, you can say free use, free use, free use. But see, the thing is, you can say free use, but then again, you have to be very careful in the way that you present reaction videos. Okay. Because the fact of the matter is, there are people that can claim a copyright strike on you. So I just have to find a way where I can discuss it without getting hit with a copyright strike. Once I can figure out how to do that and be in compliance with the YouTube guidelines, then I'll be sharing um, reaction videos. One thing I will definitely do is make sure that people don't try to control um, the conversation. If I have to mute people, I will mute people. If I have to put people in backstage, I will put people in the backstage. Okay. Uh, if I feel that things are getting a little bit too heated, I'm going to do my part to try to calm things down. If that means putting people in the backstage for a while, so be it. If it means muting people, so be it. Okay. I know there's certain people, there's certain content creators that love controversy and love people that act up on their platforms. That's not me. That's never been um, my cup of tea. No offense to those who um, choose to do it that way. It is your platforms. You govern how you do things, and I will govern how I will do things. Okay. Um, I know I know in the past I have my messy moments, things of that nature. But sometimes the messy moments can get out of hand very quickly. Um, One thing I'm going to continue to do. Okay, going into the new year. Um, Certain topics I'm going to avoid when other content creators talk about it. No shade mentioned directed towards them. It's just that there's certain topics that I prefer not to get involved with. Okay, like this whole notion regarding nah, let's just say certain topics that are not meaningful. That's just it's silly. Now I know there's certain individuals who love to get into these topics, because, particularly when it comes to privilege. Okay, one thing we all have to bear in mind: beauty is fleeting, and beauty is temporary. Okay, all of us are aging. All of us are getting older, and as we age, of course, we have health issues that to address. So I really don't want to spend any time and energy dealing with pretty privilege and why pretty privilege is so important. There are more important things to talk about. Also, another thing that I take very seriously is that this platform is more. It's not just a platform; it's also a pulpit. Okay, and I do know that I have an audience, um, people that watch from all over the world. Okay, which I find amazing, gratifying, and also humble. Okay, but definitely one thing I'm going to try to do is try to increase the algorithm regarding my lives, because I do want to increase the watch hours and get to the point where I can make that um, YouTube coin. Okay. Now you know what's funny, that in the beginning I had no problem get with the watch hours, but I was having problems getting the subs. Now the problems reversed. I'm getting the subs, but the watch hours can they can be better. So I'm gonna okay. So I am definitely going to try to bring some stimulating topics um, on this channel. Now another thing I have to think about is the time. Okay. Um, that could be hit or miss. Okay. Because I do understand that some people from the West Coast that watch it. So I would do a little experimenting um, when it comes to when I'm gonna go live. I think while going into the new year, um, I'm gonna continue with the three lives on my channel, on this channel. But one of them is going to be an early one. And when I mean early, I'm talking about 8:30. So I'm going to see, um, it's an experiment, and see whether or not the algorithm is picked up. And of course, try to bring some interesting topics. Okay. Now, of course, lately things have been very slow here. I recognize that. Okay. I think part of it has to do with the fact that this getting ready for the for tomorrow night, being tomorrow night is Christmas Eve, which is why um, I'm gonna do a short live on Christmas Eve, but it'll be my Christmas Eve message. Okay, I'll probably do that around 7:30. I will not be long, and I might have the link out, okay, but it with the understanding that I'm gonna be on briefly because it just basically it's just gonna be a Christmas Eve message, okay, which will reflect what I truly believe when it comes to Christmas time. Now, one thing I would love to do is do more interviews. The problem is, for me to do interviews, it's a real challenge. Okay, um, first of all, trying to find someone that willing to interview, and then find trying to find a time. Um, but we shall see. A lot can happen in the new year. Okay, and of course, one thing I do miss, I miss the people who used to frequent this channel. Okay, there's been a lot of people that have used to frequent the channel. They don't do it now. Um, I surmise is that people have other things to do. People have um, issues to deal with. People have situations that change, and they're not always going to have the time um, to pop up and opine. One thing I definitely gonna have to think about is when it comes to the mods. Um, there are certain people I'm gonna have to think about taking away some of their. I'm trying to think what's the word. Um, you know, um, that there's some people that they're not going to be no longer mods. Mainly because first of all they have not been stopping by. Okay, they don't stop by. Um, they don't. Not. I'm not. No, I'm not removing. Their the their their tool, so to speak. Uh, their their range on a spike or what have you. It's just that you know the fact of the matter is to be a mod. It's a privilege. Okay, and so definitely there's a couple of people that I'm going to give a wrench, and there's going to be some people that I will take away their wrench. It doesn't mean that they'll never get it back. I mean, they may get it back, but they're going to have to um, support the channel. It's only fair. Okay. Let's see. So I've been talking for about 45 minutes. I suspect that people are going to watch this on the playback. I just decided that we had a stream just to reflect some of the things that I discussed this year and also some of the things that I will be discussing going into the new year. But I am glad that Irby that's finally have his new channel. I just wish I can hop on his live. It's just that unfortunately he goes on late at night, so it's very hard. Um, Not just watch it on the playback, but then again, I guess you know people will run their channels as they see fit. Okay. But I will say this, and I gotta keep saying this. Um, to those of you that will spending Christmas Eve alone, just bear in mind you're never truly alone. God is there with you. Okay, and try to remember the true meaning about Christmas. Okay, yes, presents are nice. Yes, eating food is nice. Yes, being with family is wonderful, and even going to Christmas concerts and things of that nature. But when everything is said and done, the real reason for um, Christmas is to celebrate the birth of of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Now, when was he born? At this point, I really don't care. Okay, it's not so much when he was born. The question is, have he been born in your hearts? That's the issue. Okay, and I would encourage you, um, if you do not know the Lord, try to seek the Lord. Just ask the Lord to reveal Himself. And if you've been away from the Lord, come back. God uh, is always waiting with open arms to receive you if you have um, distanced yourself for whatever reason. And for those of you who are dealing with scars of uh, scars of betrayal, hurt, abandonment, those that are dealing with the loss of loved ones, um, just bear in mind that God is ever present and He sees your tears. He sees the grief that you're going through. And I just received word that one of our uh, security personnel just passed away today. So, it's sad whenever a person goes away, passes away, particularly close to Christmas. It's going to be a difficult Christmas for the family of that security person. But just want to let you know that there will be in my thoughts and in my prayers. And for all those of you who are experiencing the first Christmas without loved ones, I'm not going to claim to know how you feel because everyone deals with grief differently. But I will say this much: the best way to honor the memory of the person that passed away is apply the life lessons that you receive from that person. And hold the fond memories that you have of that person. And that person will forever live in your heart. Okay. Believe me, it's not, I, and again, it's not easy, but just bear in mind, God sees your tears. God sees what you're going through. Okay. So, in any case, I will start to wrap this up. Of course, the playback end, do your own thing. Okay, you're more than welcome to enter your comments just be mindful of the fact any disrespectful comments, they will be deleted. It is that simple. Okay. And for all of you, I'm just going to say, it's been my profound pleasure um, to create content for you. Um, I really appreciate the love and warmth and support that all of you have given me throughout the year. And of course, I appreciate God Almighty who made all things possible, who gives me the intelligence, the ingenuity, and the talent, little talent that I have in order to create content, and his inspiration. And to all those who used to frequent this channel but don't do it anymore, um, to all of you who've been my supporters, I wish you a truly, truly blissful Christmas season. And of course, I will be live on Friday night at 10:30 p.m. with another episode of Open Discussion. Now, for the benefit of those of you who do not know what happens, I will share my views regarding several topics, and of course, you, the audience, will have an opportunity to opine. Also, if you have anything that you would like for me to talk about, I will do my best to comply. Okay? If it's something that I don't have a great deal of knowledge about, I will be transparent. And please bear in mind that there's some topics which I prefer not to get into because I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And of course, we're going to close the same way that we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll become affected by the stupidity and massive insanity. And of course, whatever you say and do, we should do for the glory of God. And with that being said, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful new year. And I hope to see you another live soon. So take care, stay blessed, and peace.